Be better, be different. It's the simple motto that NBA trainer Phil Beckner lives by. And the players he trains, like Portland's Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and Zach Collins, strive for it as well. Now, with a new program, these NBA stars, along with Beckner and his team, are encouraging athletes of all ages and skill levels to join them in their quest to be better and be different by giving them access to something rarely given, a look inside these players' minds at what sets them apart. Tell me a little bit about your 5 questions project. What is the heart behind it?
Everyone's putting out drills and different things you could do in your driveway or at a park, but there was really nothing working on the hearts and minds of these kids. So me and, some of the guys I work with and some of the players I get to train, we wanted to take on this project and just, give a resource for players to grow.
So when you talk about which NBA players you're calling on right now to give these lessons to the younger players, what are some of the qualities that they have that is what you want to be passed down?
We want guys who are better and who are different, guys who have a unique story, guys who care about impacting somebody else, players who have kind of walked the journey, who've made some mistakes. They're not exactly perfect either. One of the 5 questions is with CJ McCollum, and he was brutally honest about some of the stuff and his journey and where he struggled.
One of the things that's been so impressive about these NBA guys is how passionate they are to impact people, and especially young kids.
You've trained so many guys who have gone on to play in the NBA. You've coached college, you've coached high school, so you have a vast experience level here to pull from. But why do you feel like the mental aspect of the game is so critical for players to understand?
That's what's making it or breaking it for a player's career. Like that, there's so many skilled trainers out there. Now I'm classified as a skill coach, or I was a college coach. Now it's their mindset, their character, and their habits determining what's going to make or break their career. And this resource with 5 questions, I truly believe it's the only one out there where players are giving other players advice.
What do you hope is the biggest thing that younger players take out of this 5-question series?
I hope they take that their mindset, their character, their habits are all areas they could grow in. They're areas that current pros or current successful people have had to grow in. And I hope they not only have that as the biggest takeaway, but they use them.
How universal is this advice that the players are giving?
It's the most important thing. And AJ, that's why we wanted to do it with so many different players across the country, because they each have different stories. They all play different positions in the NBA. They all had a different route or path, to get there. To really be able to connect it to the masses is the most important thing, because then we know the message will carry and people will continue to be impacted.
And when you talk to somebody like Damian Lillard, who you've been with since his Weber State days, how does he feel like he's giving back? What
Dame has done, and he almost doesn't get enough credit for this sometimes, but this is a story I have that impacted me so much as a coach and a leader, and now he's the prime example of it. I was driving to a clinic once. On the way to the clinic, I texted Dame, and I said, hey, I'm going to talk to 300 coaches. Here's my topics. Give me some advice to give them. And this is where a guy like Damian Lillard doesn't get enough credit for how much he truly cares about others. Because I thought he was going to say, dribble the ball harder, or put your chin to your shoulder, or get on balance before you shoot. Something to give these coaches. And he left me with a simple phrase, and it was just one text, and this was 4 years ago, and it said, impact somebody else. Impact somebody else. Every guy I've asked to do 5 questions that we're releasing over the next 9 or 10 weeks, they truly care about impacting someone else.
So you've heard the heart behind 5 questions. Now hear from Portland's Zach Collins and Minnesota's Evan Turner about why they wanted to get involved and what they hope younger athletes will take away from it.
His pitch was, we just wanted to do something a little different, and he wanted to grab like 10 or 12 NBA players and get their story about how they got here and what their journey's been like.
It's an insight, and I can comprehend it because people usually don't know us, and they usually see the finished product. And I guess sometimes with certain people, it's hard to really relate or think they went through the same issues or the same thing. I think, if you sit down and listen, there's a lot of great stories and a lot of great stories that have been told, and story from like the rags to riches.
One of the things in this quarantine, we've seen so many trainers come out with videos of work on these skills, work on this aspect of the physical game, but this really addresses the mental aspect of the game. How crucial is that for younger players to keep honing that aspect of their game?
That's an understatement, and I think you don't comprehend it until you get there. But once you get to this level, the mental part is really what separates you. You know what I mean? And you hear that all the time, but it's the truth. You see guys that are super skilled and talented, and sometimes what is the difference is in between the ear.
You always know that mentally it's very important to be in that space all the time. But when you're growing up, it's hard to see past, that workout, or it's hard to see past that rep. Whether the shot goes in, whether you trip up trying to make a route during a drill, whether you turn over in a game, whatever, it's all a part of that growing process. But I don't think you really get a good idea of what that's like until you get older. And it's something that I've always had to get better at, was that mental side of it.
How big of a need do you think there is for something like this to work on that mental aspect of the game for younger athletes?
Honestly, bro, I think everything in life, once you get older, like I said before, it's mental, bro. It's all about it's an understatement when you hear the phrase, it's not about where you are, it's about where your mind is.
I think this is going to help a lot of guys out. I think it's really unique. I think Phil's done a good job of earning the respect of all these NBA players and allowing them to feel comfortable to open up.
If 16-year-old Evan Turner had a chance to watch one of these videos from a player that he wanted to be like, how big of an impact would that have had on you?
That would have been big time. Honestly, I remember telling the story of, I see commercials, like the Be Legendary commercial, that commercial Jordan did back in the day and stuff, where it's just like, I had to believe in that. Like, one ounce of faith, of whether a light was like, once you, is what you try to focus on. And I try to take as much advice as I could as a 16-year-old.
One thing that these kids can take away from this is that your path is going to be different, and it's going to be easier in when you're this age, and it's going to be harder when you're this age, and for somebody else it's going to be the opposite. So just understanding that part of it, and understanding that if you just stay on your path and you do your best job of not comparing your path to other people, you're going to be much better off.
Damian Lillard is going to be answering his 5 questions live on Instagram early next week.